welcome to DrZero show. Today I have Annick O'Brien. Welcome Annick, how are you?
Thank you so much. Hello, it's great to be here. I'm very well, thank you very much.
I am pleased that you accepted my invitation to be my guest, and hopefully you will be my guest in the future shows also. So Annick, you have an interesting profile that you are a lawyer, but at the same time you are a DPO. First of all, what is DPO? Can you explain me?
Well, the DPO is the person in the organization who ensures that an organization is processing personal data in a way that's in accordance with local laws and with the GDPR if they're in Europe. The DPO is really an independent type role who's supposed to report to the top level of management. And it's somebody who's supposed to be there as a point of contact for data protection authorities, regulators, for data subjects, but also somebody who provides an oversight. So that's somebody who knows how things are going and if extra steps should be taken in order to protect the personal data of individuals.
But Annick, there is a confusion in my mind because usually, as far as I know, in a company, lawyer and DPO actually they are two different people. Second, they actually sometimes contradict, sometimes they are on the different uh, edge. So how it is possible that you are able to combine both roles, and how is it true that they are actually sometimes they're in terms of conflict from time to time in when it comes to data protection?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in a big organization, ideally, we'd be looking at a separate lawyer and a separate DPO because the DPO is supposed to have an oversight function and the lawyer has a very in business function. The lawyer is there to make sure that risk is being mitigated. The lawyer speaks the business language. The lawyer takes instruction from people in the business, whereas the DPO is not supposed to take instruction from either the processor or the controller. And in that way, we do see that there is two different pulls on the individual. So if you have both roles, you in some ways are obliged as a lawyer to act in one way and as a DPO to act in another. What's important to remember is that if you are going to combine the two roles, you've got to remember in which circumstances certain activities will take precedence over others. And in that way, you can act as the lawyer in an organization, but when it concerns data subjects and the protection of personal data, then you've got to step kind of outside that lawyer role and very much act as a DPO. The great thing about being a lawyer and a DPO is the DPO always looks to follow the law. So being a lawyer, you know the law, so you're able to apply the two together. And that's what makes it a really powerful position. But again, you're so right that sometimes you're looking at situations where it's almost a different emphasis on the business. So you've really got to be clear about what your priorities are and what the business needs you to do. And always remember, we just go back to the first principles of the GDPR and we look to protect the personal data and the rights of individuals. And if you keep that idea at the front of your mind, I don't think you'll ever find much conflict between the two roles.
But also, isn't it like why, like if we look at the GDPR, rules and
Mm.
regulations are already there, so it is not something secret in a book that nobody has access to. So can't I say as a small medium enterprise or large corporations, okay, I have some lawyers. If somebody sues me or if there is misunderstanding, I can talk with them. Why do I need to have a DPO? I can read and understand. So
Well, the
why?
DPO,
Please
yeah,
continue.
why do I need a DPO? Well, firstly,
Yes,
you need a DPO to protect the rights of individuals. The lawyer is there to protect the business. The DPO is there to protect the personal data. And the lawyer can't do anything to protect you if you're breaching the GDPR and a regulator comes in and fines you. The lawyer in that situation is not going to be of any help at all. And that's why you need a DPO to make sure that your organization is doing the proper DPIAs, that you're respecting the rights of individuals, and that you're in generally processing personal data in a way that is in accordance with the GDPR. And that's not merely a lawyer's role, That's a DPO oversight role. Remember that the GDPR looks to us for accountability, and the DPO is there to show accountability. If your organization doesn't have a DPO, you've failed on your first step of showing accountability. Your DPO is there to monitor and to review how personal data is being processed. Your lawyer is not going to do audits on how DPO the work is being processed. And therefore, without those kind of audits and checks, you're failing again on your accountability.
But can
So it's
you?
very important for the steps of the GDPR that you've got a DPO or somebody performing those DPO functions.
So legally it is not mandatory, but it is good to have. Like, can a company just to save the face say assign anybody to be DPO?
I wouldn't advise that to any company to assign anybody to be a DPO. And I'll tell you why.
Please,
Within the GDPR, there's a lot of very specific laws that need to be adhered to. It's not super complicated, but it's very important to get it right. And if you're assigning just anybody to do this job, or for example, if you're assigning just anybody to do the accountancy work, though that person is not going to be able to fulfill those duties the way they should. And therefore, they're going to make certain mistakes that are going to cost business a lot of money in fines and in complaints from individuals. So it's very important that whoever you create in within a DPO role doesn't necessarily have to be a lawyer, and they don't have to do all of the privacy work within an organization, but they do have to have a good understanding of the GDPR, and they also have to be able to respond to individuals and to know what their rights are and to be able to protect the personal data of those individuals, which is very important.
Anik, actually, the way that you explain me, since I am from innovation entrepreneurship domain, like it sounds like that DPO, even though hiring a DPO or working with DPO might sound cost center, the way that I understood, no, actually, it is not cost center. Cost center. It is
No,
going to help me to save money. Is it true?
yeah, I
Like it
absolutely.
minimizes the troubles.
Yeah, not just in terms of the big fines, because some people talk about the big fines, and not every organization has had a big fine. So sometimes that argument doesn't work very well. But it's also very important in terms of how you respond to individuals. Because if you have somebody who knows how data processing should happen, how the protection of data processing should happen, then that person can speak to the board and the senior management explaining what are the rules and regulations that they need to adhere to as they capitalize and as they monetize on the use of data. That person can speak with regulators and show that the organization is responsible and organized how it processes personal data. That person can speak to individuals. And we all know that individuals are the people who go and complain to regulators if we don't treat them according to the GDPR and with respect. So therefore, you need to have somebody who understands what an individual's rights are and who can speak to individuals respectfully, politely, and bring issues to closure and resolution without that individual complaining to an authority and the authority then coming and doing an audit. We also have a situation where a regulator might or a controller might decide to do an auditor of a company or a processor. That audit can cost a lot of money. Having a DPO who knows where the data is, how to find it, who are the privacy champions within your business who can help you to locate that data and demonstrate how it is being processed in a compliant way. That will save you a lot of money if you've got somebody who understands all of these pieces of the data puzzle within your organization. And finally, in terms of DPIA, of course, you need to do DPIA when you're processing sensitive data, but there are other circumstances where a DPIA data processing impact assessment is beneficial and advisable. Having somebody who can know what those situations are, who can look at the DPIA and see what action needs to be taken from it, and who further can then monitor that as it continues its lifespan throughout your organization, that is going to save your organization a lot of money, because that type of work you would normally have to pay some kind of project manager and then an outside counsel. to combine their skill set. With the DPO, you've got the 2-in-1. And finally, a DPO is usually responsible for educating an organization. And an organization that's well educated is an organization that will avoid making mistakes in the future on a much larger scale than an uneducated workforce. And therefore, having somebody there who understands, who's within your business, who understands what your business is, what your people need to know, and how to teach them, will save you.
But in addition to that one, the way that you told me sounds like this. Okay, this person helps for the processes inside the company, but at the same time, the way that you explain that, okay, but at the same time, it makes my customers happy. So it means I will have satisfied customers. It can actually let these customers to remain as my customers, and I might even sell them more products and services, and then they can actually spread information positively it will help me to get more customers. So it is not only helping internally to have a smooth process, but also it sounds like it is going to add value my product and services. Am I right?
Yeah.
Or did I
Absolutely.
learn correctly from you?
Yes, you did. You learned really well. No, it's fantastic. We can use privacy as something that makes a profit for the organization. You can use privacy to run your business smoothly on the inside, but also to give your organization a really strong and beneficial public image that individuals trust your company. They want to come
Yes.
and be part of your customer base because they trust you, they trust what you're doing, and they know that if they have a question, they'll come and somebody educated and with knowledge will be able to answer that in a respectful way. That type of customer service is so valuable because it's the type of customer service that you can get it right 99 times and it only takes one time to get it wrong, and you break that trust image of an organization. So getting it right and getting it right all the time is invaluable.
Yeah, I know there was a case, I am not going to give the name, but I was using a host service. All of a sudden they changed it, but without even communicating properly. They promised actually it is going to be handled properly, but since they didn't inform before, like regardless the way that they are going to handle in the future, I believe that if they had proper DPO will tell them, you are going to change your service provider. So maybe you transparently explain them when are you going to change, and you communicate with them that it is going to be taken properly, going to be taking care of it properly. Since it wasn't even communicated, so I left it not because I didn't trust that they will do good job. I said, okay, you ignored, you were not transparent, so how I can trust you what you are going to do later on. So I think this type of details, when these organizations are working with their main product and services, they might ignore to communicate continuously, properly, and then inform, because they have so many other things to do. It is not about data breach. They have a physical product that they might need to collect data, but since they ignore to communicate on time, so they lost customers. I wouldn't recommend them, for example, not because they are doing something they will be doing something with the data, but they didn't communicate, like they didn't take us serious.
I
So
like
it
this
is.
example. Yeah, it's a fantastic example. There's a number of things in there that as you were explaining the example, they brought to my mind the important pieces of work that a DPO does that a lawyer might not necessarily do. A lawyer in a business, his or her first idea is not necessarily to be transparent about everything from within the business to the outside. Whereas a DPO finds that transparency is essential because the principle of transparency is very important within the GDPR. So your DPO is the person who not only will be helping you communicate with customers, but who will know your business processes, will know if these are changing because they're doing annual reviews, and will be able to identify which ones need to be communicated to customers and which ones maybe don't need to be communicated to customers, because we don't want to spam customers at the same time. Every time we make a change within our business, we don't have to tell customers. And the DPO will know which information to put into the privacy notice. The DPO will know what information to put into contracts with customers, so that customers are really clear about which processing is part of their contract. The DPO will also be able to identify all of the suppliers and who might be processors or sub-processors, and therefore be able to start engaging on negotiating a data processing agreement. And being a lawyer and a DPO, I'm able to negotiate the data processing agreement and know when it should be signed and what needs to be in it. And the wonderful thing about being in-house lawyer DPO is that I know my business. So I know what the really important things within the data processing agreement for my business to protect my business and my customers is. The sound's gone.
Sorry. So, main challenge that I had when a lawyer draft a text, to understand the text, they use so ambiguous language that it is very hard for a person illiterate like me to understand what they really mean. Should I be scared? Should I do that? But I start to see that maybe DPO might help to simplify the language that humans can understand. Is it part of your profile?
Yeah. Indeed. In the Middle Ages, lawyers were paid by the word. And I think this idea of being paid by the word has followed through to the modern day, because lawyers still seem to say 100 words where they only might need to say 10.
No, I am learning something else. Please, I am going to interrupt. I really want to have a parenthesis. Breathless. Also, please tell me how they were paid, how lawyers were paid. So
by the word.
Yeah, so
it means that if you were writing a document for somebody, you got paid per word. Therefore, it was more beneficial for you, more profitable for you, to use longer sentences to say the same thing. So a lot of the old text will be very long to say the same thing. But a lot of modern lawyers are now working off a plain English principle. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to always use the least amount of words to get the message across, because these days we don't get paid by the word. In fact, these days we get paid for being fast and being efficient.
I think there should be some hackathons that we get the old texts that are drafted by lawyers, and then we give the new ones. If you simplify it, make it half, reduce it 30%, 40%, like Apple physical products, make it 30% less, but meaningful. Because I heard this about Dostoevsky also. Was it Tolstoy or Dostoevsky? They were paid based number of the pages, words, so they had to write long so that they could pay properly. But I didn't know that this was the case for the lawyers. Amazing. Yeah. So hopefully, so the main idea is, because I usually invite the people to teach me things for the things that I am curious about. So if I have a problem with a company, if I have a trust issues, I should look, okay, do they have proper data processing processes, but do they have any person responsible who's taking care of this? If I know that, before that I know they have a lawyer, usually they have a lawyer or they work with a lawyer, but if I see they have DPO, then I can say, okay, I can rely on at least there is somebody in house, but this person is usually on my side, isn't it? Not on the company side. Or is it, or they don't pick a side? Can you please explain me? Let's say
the DPO is on both sides.
What do you mean with both sides? How? I want on my side. Lawyer is already at your side. I want somebody on my side.
It's not about sides. They're actually the same side. If an individual needs their data protected and needs their personal data protected according to law, the DPO is there to ensure that the personal data of the individual is protected properly, treated and processed properly. So in a way, yes, the DPO is there for individuals. But if an organization treats personal data in accordance with law, transparently, with accountability, and has respect for individuals, and avoids data breaches and things like this through proper security, then that organization is also there and making money and getting better at what they do and having a better reputation. And the DPO is helping this. So the DPO is on both sides. And the DPO is helping both the organization and the individual, because strong adherence to the GDPR, strong privacy work, and protecting individuals' data can only be beneficial for an organization.
Thank you very much. I have one final personal question. What type of hobby does a DPO and a lawyer has? What do you do in your spare time?
Not a lot of spare time, but I do enjoy to go running.
Okay, runner. Like, thank you very much. I really appreciate for your
Thank you.
time. I learned a lot from this conversation, and hopefully you will be my guest again.
I would
Thank you
love
very
to.
much.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure being here with you today, and I would love to come speak to you again.
Thank you, Annie. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye bye.